Rich DeMarco with Army head coach Rich Ellerson following the Black Knights scrimmage on a Sunday afternoon inside the Foley Center. And Rich, your thoughts on the scrimmage here today, offense against defense?
Well, it was a lot of things, but it was great to see some guys go out there with the coaches away from them and just compete. You know, we've been so many of the combative things we've done in the first week and a half have been you're in a tackling drill, you're in a one-on-one situation. Here we got into a dynamic environment where you had to unwind a play and make a play in space. We feel like we're throwing the ball better. We feel like we're catching the ball better. And it was great to validate that. I thought we did that a little bit today. I think the guys that have been doing a good job in practice, as a unit, we've been doing a good job in practice, taking care of the football and being stingy with that thing. And I think that continued to be the case for most of the units. I'm concerned about some of the younger guys, but the good news is culturally we understand what a big deal that is, and you can tell that they got the right look on their face and they're focused on the right things. And it just in general it's a midterm grade for us in terms of training camp. You know, we're going to see some things on that tape that we really like about ourselves, and we're going to see some things on that tape that we absolutely have to change. Because the thing about the practice environment, that's where you define yourself. And as I say, good news is we have a couple of weeks here before we get into a game week where we can work on that definition. And so this will be great videotape for both us as coaches and players.
Angel Santiago and A.J. Scher at quarterback. How did you feel both of those quarterbacks performed?
Well, I thought they both did a good job. I think Angel's continued to establish himself a little bit. He came back, as coming out of spring, he was a close two, if you will, but obviously had a great summer. Has really grown from the experiences he had this spring. There's a difference here at West Point between a yearling and a cow, and it's especially evident in a guy like Angel. Has had a tremendous training camp, has distanced himself a little bit from the other quarterbacks. AJ's battling. I think his legs took a little bigger hit over the summer, maybe than some of the other guys, and he's battled that a little bit, but he is battling. He's doing just fine. Again, it's very competitive, but I do give Angel a nod there because he has just consistently been more right, consistently better with the football, consistently making great decisions in both the throwing and running game. And you'd expect that. You know, he's been in the offense now for a couple of years. He's got a ton of reps under his belt. He's in the other half of his career here at West Point, which all bodes well.
Defensively, and we talked on Media Day, you said this had a chance to really be one of the more veteran units than you've had the past couple of years. How has that side of the ball progressed so far through these first couple of weeks?
Well, you say that, and yet we have very few, not many seniors, but some guys who have played some football, some sophomores and juniors who have played a lot of football for us. And be careful what you see out there. We have the fix in a little bit in terms of we tried to neutralize our interior defensive front in those scout looks so that the ball would progress to the perimeter and into the secondary, because we needed to see how that second row managed space, how they unwound things from a recognition standpoint, got in space and got some talented people. We have some talented young running backs. If we could create space, they would be hard to get on the ground, and we were able to do that. But sometimes you're trying to run a scout look on offense with a scout offensive line against your starting defensive line, that dominates the drill. You know, the back end just ends up standing around the pile. So we tried to neutralize that by having some down the line guys come in and battle on the defensive line. They did a nice job for us, but we intentionally kind of made that a fair fight up front so that those plays could get to the perimeter. And I for the most part, I'm pleased at what I saw. There'll be some things that we'll have a chance to evaluate because we were able to do that, because we were able to get the ball onto the perimeter and into the secondary, and both evaluate some personnel and some things that we're doing that are a little bit different structurally.
You said a midterm grade. What grade would you give your team here today?
Well, I got to go grade the paper. I mean, Well, I'll give them this. Boy, they loved to play the game. They competed like crazy. They were into it for 2.5 hours out there because, as you know, when you're scrimmaging, there are fewer guys involved in any given moment, so you're out there for a longer stretch of time. But for 2.5 hours, there's a lot of energy out there. They love to play. There's good stuff all over the place. In terms of the grade, I'll go work on that right now.
Definitely. Rich, always thanks again for a couple of minutes, and best of luck here as we head through and maybe toward that second half of training training camp beginning this week.
It's going to be great.
That's Army head coach Rich Ellerson joining us following the Black Knights scrimmage inside the Foley Center here on a Sunday afternoon. For Night Vision, I'm Rich DeMarco.